Hello, all, and this time we invited Rameez from India, and I think he can be an example for us. Like this program is not for the English teacher. This program for the teachers who taught in social science and math and like that. I think he can be one of the example and our interview can be more effective, more interesting, I think. So thank you again, Ramit, for joining us today. And please introduce yourself.
Uh, Thank you so much, Molly, and then good afternoon from India. And I'm so grateful to both of you and your team, all people, a lot of people who are, joined with this effort to make an outreach to so many people about information about Fulbright and how and things work. So I'm Rameez Ahmad, and I come from India, a place called Kashmir, up north towards China, and in fact, a little farther from Mongolia. So I have been uh, in my service, as an educator since last 13 years now, and have been teaching some variety of subjects, especially sciences and social sciences. So while I was on Fulbright, I actually pitched my subject is social sciences. So so having an experience of till 20, 12, 13 years now, I can say that a lot has to be learned, and a lot more has to be discovered as an educator. And good to see you both, and nice to really be with you all today.
Yeah, wow. So I think you are such a special guest for our podcast because you are very first male guest teacher.
Uh-huh.
So far we have had four episodes, and all of those four guests were female. So today you are representing all of those amazing, full-hearted, and dedicated teachers, male teachers. And the first question for you would be, why did you make a decision to become a teacher?
Mm. This is a very basic, I think, and fundamental question, and which really I'm trying to make sense each day. Uh, I think the very first thing that comes to my mind as a decision to be an educator is that since my childhood and since my school days, in fact, I have been really passionate to teach the not only my siblings in my community back home, but also my younger, fellows in school. So I used to gather them, and would love to really talk to them and share what I actually know. And part of it was maybe I knew later in my life that this is really what I'm made for. So a flair to speak, a passion to really share things which I have, and more importantly that I always really and while we were on Fulbright, that each one of us and was really keen to learn. So that is the very fundamental thing, that for a teacher, for an educator, that he's having that passion to really learn each day, each moment, and every other day is a target to learn new things. So, and when it comes to learning new things, you also want to share those things with other people. So that's what makes me, an educator, and that's the whole idea of me being an educator.
It's great. So, and maybe it can be interesting. And can you explain your school day and how is the Indian school day going? Okay. How's your work day goes?
If you talk about present times where I am right now, working in my community. So that's in this point of time, I think uh, are most of the times the focus remains on grades mostly, and how people can, how children can really pass out with good grades and good percentage. And Indians, by the way, are known to really secures good grades and good in terms of their overall GPAs and scores. So, but the shift is there, you know. This has been the thing since last 70 or 75 years, but now, since last 2 3 years now, I mean, since 2020, the things are taking a new turn. That teaching community is being really told and trained that you should focus now on what children learn. I mean, on quality education, that children should try to utilize and apply what they learn in the schools. So there is a shift, I mean, that has been really going on, but I think it will take a lot of time. What I saw in Massachusetts, and like all of us in US schools, I don't know about Mongolia how really teaching, I mean, learning is going on in I mean, in terms of quality and quantity. But in our case, the focus has been on the quantity so far, but now it's more of quality. Uh, the kind of assessments, the kind of teaching pedagogy is being really focused more. Teaching techniques are now being polished and refined so that a teacher can really give a meaningful really insights for a child to really learn and not just get literate but really learn something out of the whole curriculum and pedagogy. So there's a shift now, and I'm really excited that this new shift is going to help us a lot in taking time out from rote learning towards some real quality education. So that's being really imagined. Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. Like each sentence you say, they are very inspirational. Your typical school day, also the reason why you became a teacher, I think these are really inspirational for me. And in Mongolia, I think fewer and fewer male people are becoming teachers. So, what's the situation in India, and how many female teachers and male teachers are there in your school? And what is the gender equality for becoming a teacher in your country? Yeah, that's the question. Yeah.
Talking about my school, Nomi, I'm really kind of happy, and really it's a subject of keen interest to me that in a school of with almost almost 20 to 25 educators. It's a middle school, and I was the only one male for so long. I mean, and then just 1 year, just 2 years back. I mean, slowly, gradually, we got another group of two or three males. So now we are four males and or around. So the ratio is around 70-30. So 70% are the females, and that speaks of the gender equality and empowerment part. That females are mostly into teaching. So yes, that's true. It's like Mongolia teaching females are, and you know there was a bias I have been hearing about since long time, which I was really interested to know and understand why is it so that it was said that you know females in the education, I don't think they do well and do inspire people. But when after understanding the whole education dynamics in my community, I came to know that there are tremendous s- qualities in a female educator, in women in education, that really male folks don't possess, and that makes them more suitable for the job. And the foremost quality that a female folk and women education in education is that they have patience, uh, they have the understanding, and more importantly patience to stay with the children who are at times naughty, children who are at times really, I mean, uh, brats, and who are not able to, you're not able to control. And males at times really they show a kind of chauvinism a kind of high-handedness on children, those children. And what I found was that we are not able to, males are not really able to control them. So I should not use the word control, but they were not able to usually help them understand that why are they are in the school. So female, they have a, I found that they have a inbuilt, inherent quality of patience, and really, that's what makes them the best in what they do in teaching. That was amazing for me.
Yes, it's almost same as Mongolian. So in most schools like that, almost
Right.
in a 70% female and 30, at least it mostly 30% male teachers around here too. And yeah, yeah. So and I just wanted to know in a little thing, and I thought I thought you are a good dad. And how do you spend your time with your family, and how do you spend your leisure time without school?
Mm, Molly, I mean, thank you so much, really, for you being such a great support for us while we were on Fulbright. In MA, in our those 6 weeks time in US. So you have been an amazing person. So I think, coming to your question, I think family has a very important role in my life. I'm married and with 2 children, and when it was decided that I'm flying to US, the first thing that came to my mind as a very compassionate and very a father with compassion for my children, was that how my children are going to be. I mean, my wife will handle them back home so while I'm in US. But I was so thankful to her and so thankful to my mom as well, and that those 6 weeks, almost seven weeks, were uh, they passed very smoothly, and uh, except for once or twice, uh, I think largely it was a wonderful thing having a wonderful person back home to take care of my children. And I'm a very family person. I'm very very passionate about really spending time with my family. But yes, uh, when you decide to contribute in the community, when you decide to share something and do something out of box, and like it was Fulbright and now some other projects also, uh, slightly somewhere, there's a feeling in the family that your time is not really well organized and spent on family and your children. But yes, that's a hard decision at times. So we have to take time out for our professional works and then for the family. But I try to largely try to do justice and make them comfortable, make them feel at uh, feel connected to me, as far so far as I'm concerned. And the family is my strength, honestly. So I take inspiration from my children, my family. So it's an amazing feeling. And who else knows better than you both? So it's a wonderful thing really to happen to you, being a family man. Yeah.
Oh my God. So you're such a great educator. Also, you're such a great dad and a family man. And Molly always told me about you that you are kind of your cohort leader. Like you've always been passionate and creative, and you've been always full of new ideas. Oh, let's learn this, let's do this together, like a family group leader in the US for your cohort. Wow, and how can you manage all of these social roles together, like with such great like balance, you know? I'm so amazed. And as an educator, so for male teachers, like how can they improve themselves outside of their countries? Is there any, possibility to keep improving or to attend any scholarship programs or exchange programs? Because some people, they tend to see being a teacher or being an educator might pull them back like comparing to other professions. So I would like to hear your opinion and insights on this kind of topic.
Yes, Nomi, I think this is, I mean, a concern. And at one point in time, I mean, when you decide about your career in education or other fields, so finally, when you land in education, and some people are by choice and some by chance. But even if somebody is by chance, so again, he has to find some meaning in what they do, you know. So and education is something that really helps you grow and helps you stay connected to so many people, you know. So balancing work, balancing I mean work and balancing your family and professional duties is very important. So Fulbright and then some other projects which I'm doing, really, for male folks, I think it's important to uh, think that, you know, your time in this world is very limited, and you don't have, I mean, the luxury of, you know, I mean, the world is so unpredictable, and the place I come from is so unpredictable. And maybe we have not talked much about it, but yeah, this place is very unpredictable. So what I wanted to, I mean, keep reminding myself was that, you know, uh, I should do what I intend to do, and do it quickly, and make the best out of my time. And you know, social media and so many other distractions are there if you don't use them carefully. And even managing your time management is so very important. And so if a person is not able to manage time, and he's distracted with so many, I mean, different things, so he will not be able to make any good decision or good greatness in life. So yes, so as male folks, I mean, although I know that females in work, in profession, at home, they have tremendous liabilities, tremendous responsibilities too. But males, yes, they have to really decide that if you don't want to get distracted, you have to schedule your time. You have to be very, you have to stick to your schedules and stick to what you want to do. So in that case, and Molly will agree to me that while on Fulbright in our cohort, there were people, you know, those who had, I mean, in a group of 20 odd people, there was some kind of skirmishes, some kind of something that we brushed our shoulders at times. So there was rubbing and all that. So, but uh, I personally, as you said, and Molly has, is witness to that. I was very focused during those days as well, but I never, landed into any controversy, any such thing, minor issue that really robs, that really takes away the joy of learning and joy of understanding and joy of having that experience in US. So uh, when your goals are clear, Nomi, and when you are really able to manage your time, and you think that you have a purpose in life and you want to achieve that, I think nothing is impossible. So but there are distractions, you know. The information age is like, you have so much information, you get so many opportunities that you may lose if you don't stay focused. So as an educator, you have to be focused, and you have to be really careful that what you want to do, because there is so much to do. There are so many opportunities for an educator to learn from and progress in your career. So all it needs is focus, time management, and then stay away from those distractions. Honestly, so if you're away from those distractions that suck the time out of you, that suck the kind of energy out of you, and they completely disorient you, then it will be difficult for a person, say for an educator, to stay focused. Yeah, and yeah, that's how I think about managing my profession and personal life. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I am. So it's really true. This time, so much information, so much opportunities around us. So
Mhm.
in and I also will try to remember we had to focus on what's our goal and like that. That's a great point. So thank
Mhm.
you for sharing about that. So and our this podcast is just for future Fulbrighters,
Hmm.
so who is applying for this program. So, and for me, I thought, and the most important part is from about writing essay and like that. So, and what do you think? So, which experience you mentioned in your essay influenced to accept this program? So,
Yeah.
please share about your experience about your application. Okay.
Molly, when the application was out, and this was the first time I thought to apply, and I checked beforehand all the formalities and all the prerequisites to criteria to apply. And interesting thing was that while I was scanning the application, what struck me the most was that the application is asking you for as a Fulbright, I mean T fellow. Uh, so it's asking you that what else, I mean, what more have you been doing in your life, in your career, in your profession, other than teaching, and that has been supplementing you, that has been complementing you as an educator. So that was interesting for me, that I knew that if I can really convince the board that this is what I have been doing apart from being an educator, so that will help me. And without having any kind of assistance or any kind of hand holding, because there are nobody, I mean, Mongolia has a huge representation of in Fulbright, and coming from a small place called Kashmir, a very beautiful place, in fact, called Kashmir. So, with no, I mean, as such guidance and no as such mentorship about a Fulbright. So, this is what struck me, and this is what I was really able to convince that look, I'm not just doing, I mean, hardcore teaching in my class, and also I'm also supplementing that through my social work, so my community work in my community, what I'm doing, and also doing some independent research on my own on teaching, and also some core allied areas like I have been mentioning on school safety. In fact, I mentioned that during Nomi's, I think is aware that during our address in end of the program in Washington DC about safety. So I was doing that as well, and I was also part of some organizations, international organizations, some local organizations, some national organizations in India. So building upon all that, I knew that in my essays, actually, I tried to build upon that. In every essay, I put up that this is what I have been doing apart from my core teaching job as an educator. So I have been lobbying with some, say, for example, International Red Cross Society of India, UNICEF, and then some local organizations, and working with my friends as in my part time. So I think that was the for me that was the USP for my application. And I know I'm very, I mean, of the belief that I firmly believe that your application and Nomi's application, and for that matter, any upcoming Fulbright aspirant who wants to write the application for Fulbright T program, so his or her application will have some a unique USP, a unique selling point that will strike the board. And he should also think in that way, replication of the applications which have been submitted will not help. I mean, copying or kind of repeating the same old things, taking cue from other people, that will not help again. So if your application has something unique and you have been honestly doing it and you are able to convince it that this is what I have been doing in my, say, for example, technology. So this is what I have been doing in terms of technology in my class. If a person is sincere and more know me, I think I think the biggest takeaway from my Fulbright experience was that the people who are judging you on Fulbright, they're very honest and they're very looking for honest people for the Fulbright program. So I'm sure three of us are here today, and all three of us were able to honestly convince them that this is what I have been doing. I'm doing something about other than with some organizations, some community work. Nomi has been doing something about technology and some community work and some empowerment work, say women and all. So Molly has her own USP. So this is, I think, one big thing that the future aspirants should look for. That you try to pitch for the Fulbright T program in a very unique way, that what is your core, unique, and a very different USP that you want to sell to the Fulbright board. So I think this is. I hope I'm able to explain this to you.
Wow, what a great tip for future Fulbrighters. I think many teachers find the application process really confusing and difficult because of the essays. They tend to be afraid of those essay questions. I think there are at least 4 or 5 questions, right?
Yeah.
And then there are kind of limited words for each question, and all of those requirements seem to them like so overwhelming. But I think you make it really simple for them. Like, I would like to use some metaphor, like all the teachers are like a little like a mining site, and we have diamonds in them, our own diamonds. Like, we should sell those diamonds, and we should let those Fulbright team members dig into our diamonds, and we need to sell them. So those diamonds can,
Absolutely.
yeah, can vary depending on your own experience and own teacher story, as our Busayo for fourth episode told and shared with us. So just feel
Mhm.
free and feel calm. Just be yourself. As you said, be honest, yeah? So
Mhm.
that
Yep.
all of those diamonds within you can shine bright. Yeah.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for reminding us of this little but really precious tip. And now let's move on to your interview part. How was your interview? And what questions were asked there? Was it about your application, especially about your essays, or were there any brand new questions for you?
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Nomi, coming to application, interview part of the process, I think what I gathered from previous fellows was that, largely the application interview will be on the application, and questions will be taken out of what you said during the application. Uh, but I knew that, there will be a kind of shift. There will be a kind of creative or innovative way of, doing things. Doing the interview. So I think largely, uh, I think out of 6 or 7 questions asked, I think 2, 3 were broadly on the application, that you have written in the application that this is what you have been doing uh, in your community teaching, and this is the challenge you have been facing. So can you explain that, what kind of challenge you have been facing in delivering your classes? So it's like that, and some other questions on, say, what are your goals? You have mentioned the application again, that you want to learn this in US, and why. So specifically mentioning about some three, 4 points which I had written in the application. And then some questions were, general questions, those who were not, really taken out of the application. And that was surprise for me, that some questions on, definitely on particular my place, coming from that particular place, and which has been in news for certain reasons. And so can you tell us that, what kind of environment is there, for teaching learning? And some other questions on my, CV is, in fact, that you have done this, and as an academic achievement in your professional career. So can you help us understand that, how it will be really beneficial to your school, and in US, especially when you are visiting in some schools in US. So, but I think mostly questions, you have to be very cautious about what you are writing in your application, because they will take cues from those application points, those essays. And uh, and in fact, I can remember one of the colleagues was facing the application, I mean the interview, and she was not asked a single question from the application, honestly. And every question was taken, I mean, was asked from her academic career so far. So her core subject she is teaching, she was teaching political science. So that was a surprise to all of us that they didn't touch much about the hobbies, the CV, the SOP, or whatever. So they mostly talked about her academic, I mean, core subject area, which was political science. So in my case, and it was mix of, if I can say, 3 out of 7 questions, or 4 out of 7 questions were on application, and 6 were on what they think that maybe gathered from application, or from the place I come from. But as I said, that if you're honest in, and by the way, Nomi, I think if I can say it, sum up it in this way, that your Fulbright interview is not just the interview for Fulbright per se. It is an interview. It's the personality, I mean judgment of the aspirant, or spanning across your whole career. They ask you about things you have been doing in your school, and they may ask you about the future plan of action. They may ask you about kind of when you come back to your place, what you want to contribute, how you want to contribute in that way. And so then you have to be very active, and you have to be very honest again, and very articulate as well, that you have to sell put all those things into that 20-25 minute time schedule you have during the interview. So you don't have much time to really think at that very moment. So you have to prepare. I will suggest that always do some mock interviews with previous fellows, like you have been doing a wonderful thing this, by organizing, I mean by recording the podcast and sharing it across. So people like you in your country, mm, we are all connected. So we can do one thing, that we can really help them out by organizing some mock interviews, organizing some sessions for them, so that they can really have a feel of what the interview is all about. So because you don't have much time in those 15 to 20 minutes to think and to prepare and then answer all those questions. So it's a journey, whole lot of journey that they are going to discuss during the interview. Yes.
Okay. I hope our this podcast can be more helpful for future people who will be in a T fellows and like that. I think so. It was it's very good to know them. It's before they applying this program, they will be an experience with our podcast, I think. So just interesting for me. So how did you feel when you got the mail from you accepted from the Fulbright? So how did you feel? How was your first feeling?
You can judge it. You can judge it by the smile I have right now. And I think that was the first feeling, that of accomplishment. That
Yeah.
after you understand, both of you know that this is a very long and tiresome journey of filing an application and then all going through all the stages. So after that long, I mean, hours of writing application and then all those things, an interview as well, and then you get the notification. So it feels really amazing. You feel really accomplished, that what you have been doing. And by the way, let me put it this way, Molly, that some people somewhere in our communities, I can talk about my community, that you don't get the you don't get the kind of uh, maybe at time acceptance, if I can say so, or some other times it's like nobody's really bothered what you are doing in your own local uh, ecosystem, in your school, in your community. And then suddenly Fulbright thing happens and people start noticing you. And that's a token of not just appreciation, but it's a token of great. That's a tag that people think that now he's now as a Fulbrighter, if he can convince and he can if he can make it out in a group of say 50 or 60 odd people among so many applications, so he or she is really is a person with great strength and experience and grit. So uh, before that, uh, it used to be I was at the lowest, honestly telling you, I was at the lowest ebb of my motivation as an educator because of certain things in the teaching journey so far. And then when this Fulbright thing happened to me, it was like reassurance. It was a kind of reassurance of really that I can really move on and seriously again come back to my teaching profession more honestly and more passionately. And now we have the opportunity to get connected with so many people. So that was excitement, that meeting new people, meetings fellows from across the world. And so it has really redefined the journey as an educator. Yes, that was amazing. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I would never guess you had a difficulty as being an educator, but you were so brave to share your vulnerable time with us. And I think it will be really inspirational and motivating for many, many teachers out there. If you are feeling a little bit down and underestimating yourself as a teacher, just go for it, stand up, apply. You will
Mhm.
achieve
Yeah.
just like our Rameez. And I think your application was really bright and shiny. I think your application was exactly representing you as a whole with your both ups and downs. And that's why you were selected out of those many, many, many applications. You know, India is a big, big country with many
Very big.
people,
Yeah.
but you are from a little place, Kashmir, but your application was shining so bright. I'm so proud of you. So, so proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
All right. Now let's move on to the exciting time. Like, how was your time in America? How many
Yeah.
sections were there as part of this
Mhm.
Fulbright program? And in general, how effective was it? Could you please describe your journey in America for us?
Yeah. Nomi, as you are yourself fitness and have been an amazing person all through, and I mean, came to know you about you on the end of program session, and when you made the speech, very passionate speech, passionate. I mean, learnings. So part of it you could have summed up during that. I mean, that speech as well. But largely thinking, I think experience in US, particularly in I can divide it into three sections. I mean, one is the experience in the University of Massachusetts, the university where we were placed, some 20, 22 odd people. And then in the schools we visited and in Massachusetts. And then another part was the field experiences we had and meeting the people and some hands-on experiences in museums, in some technical places, and even in our leisure time, of course. So the most remarkable experience I will discuss, I mean, tell you about would be that the times we spent in UMass, I mean, University of Massachusetts, with, I mean, largely 3 4 days of time in the sessions, with the professors. I mean, uh, discussing, facilitating the things, and talking about their experiences and all. So that really opened up to us how really the US education system really works, and how they organize things, how well planned they are. I mean, I must say that the people there, I mean, we are no we are no lesser beings than them, but the way they organize things, the way they, I mean, meticulously plan things, So that was something really amazing in, Massachusetts, that they plan the smallest of the things in sessions, in the university outdoors and all. And second was, as an educator in US schools, where we were, Molly is aware that we were in charter schools, a very unique kind of schools in US, uh, apart from the usual public schools in US. So charter schools have been really, that was an experience in itself, that people in charter schools and the government in the charter schools, they are experimenting with education in a very different way. You know, they are experimenting with the education in a very different way, and so that was something to learn from, honestly. The first thing I would say that I would have, stayed back and learn more about in charter schools was that, the kind of, uh, again, the planning and the goals they had planned set for the school students to learn from. And yes, the funding, of course, we had, I could see that what a unique way to fund the whole things was there in charter schools. And I think, no doubt, we have our own pluses and we have our own minuses in our communities, but being in that place in education, I mean, they are way ahead. I mean, in terms of, I can say, just quote you one example of assessments. Assessments which we are planning in our community now since 2020, they have been doing it since last 20 years now. So it's a wonderful way of assessing students and assessing away from the scores and grades and GPAs and all. So again, a very interesting thing. And I think perhaps the most striking part, remarkable part for me, was that how much independence they have to design the curriculum, plan lesson planning, and then the pedagogy techniques of pedagogy in US schools in Massachusetts. Very independent, very hands-on, and experience of students having in the schools to learn from the best and without any stress. I was amazed to see the counselors, organized, engaged in the schools, full-fledged school counselors, to take care of the mental well-being and social emotional well-being of the children, which is, in India, in fact, not large part of India, not every state in India has those kind of mechanisms of having counselors, of having full-fledged psychologists in the schools, because uh, we have a huge issue of, I mean, the corporal punishment in India in schools. So it's very tough. Teachers are very tough on students to, when it comes to grades and when it comes to scores. So US experience in schools was unique. No stress and no kind of, burden on students to perform in terms of grades. And then people have set up to take care of their mental and social well-being. And then the third part would be about experience outside the Massachusetts, in Massachusetts or around, was that teaching, that was, a gift for, a kind of gift for us all, while we had leisure time moving around and experiencing the, uh, informally, informally experience the whole thing. So I was very happy and very, it was interesting for me that, look, they have the Fulbright board has not, they're not, it's not a usual thing to plan for those outdoor trips and those outdoor activities for the US fellows, because that's where you get to know the actual America, or you get to know the actual Mongolia or India. When you move around in the streets, when you move around in the restaurants, and you are in sport arenas, you are in gyms, and you are in beaches and all those places. So that's where you get to know the real, how society actually functions. So that was an experience in itself, on dinners with professors and teachers, in fact, partner teachers. So I think these are the three things. uh, I can go on, and we can discuss it for hours together, but this really I can sum up in two three sessions, that was how the experience was. And of course, last but not the least, the experience of and I used to tell the fellows, in our cohort in Massachusetts, that don't look outside, for inspiration and for doing great work when you go back to your countries. Just if we 22 people, I mean, in the cohort, and then 52 to 55 people in the whole group in spring cohort, if we can really come together and plan things together and inspire each other, and maybe do some project works, do some kind of collaborative work within each other, within the community, in the single cohort, that will be the, I mean, biggest learning, that will be the biggest outcome, that will be the biggest achievement, but I don't know how far we have been able to do that, but I still hope that we can get together and do some meaningful work together. This and this podcast right now, Nomi, and I really congratulate you and Molly and the team that you have been doing this and bringing them on and sharing the experiences. You are, hats off to you all. This is the kind of thing I think I was expecting that all of us should be doing. But you are taking the lead. Thank you so much.
So for me now, and I just miss my fellows. So and when you're and talking about our things, what did we do, and miss time in America, so nice, yeah. So and for me also, and the charter school was treasure for me. So, and I
Yeah.
was so excited when I visited to your school. So, and you worked there in the whole time and around there. So, and my question is, what did you implement to your school? And
What did
what
you? Sorry.
just mention one thing, and the one thing, please mention about your school.
In my school, you mean to say that what I have brought back home?
Yeah, she means
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So, Molly, I think a lot of things that, first and the foremost thing which I mean, coming back was that trying to share the experience, not as such telling the whole, I mean, group of student teachers that this is what I did. At times people they don't take you seriously and just look, he has come back from US and now he's trying boasting off and trying to, I mean, make an impression of on us that he has done this, he has done this and that. What I did was that, let's plan and share and do a kind of within the school kind of training, I mean, experience. Let's not think of training in terms of, I mean, some expert coming from outside. Why not to really experience and experiment that we can do the training and we can learn from each other as educators in the school. So I try to introduce the thing, in-house kind of training activity in the school, that we should all just sit together and discuss with each other that where do we lack and where do we want to polish and kind of reorient our teaching practice, teaching techniques, and pedagogies. So this was the first thing, I tried to introduce in my school, that we should all sit together, which otherwise is not happening in Indian schools. Different teachers, they take different routes and they go by their own. So this sitting under the one roof, planning thing, designing curriculums and pedagogies in teaching techniques is a very different thing. Is not seen in India, in my place, actually, at least. So I did that, and then I also went on to initiate one social emotional learning experiment in my school. So I know that, as I told you in the beginning, that my place has been reeling under the kind of some social upheavals since last maybe 30, 40 years now. And that has taken toll on the mental and social well-being of my children. So in our communities, a lot of suicides happening in among children, a lot of I mean, this I mean, drug addiction has been, I mean, on and off in the community. So those issues, that disorientation, that kind of misguidance, and that kind of, I mean, uh, uh, pulls and pressures of livelihood and education. So they are struggling between the two. So the priority, and then priority takes back to livelihood. So I thought that it's high time to really introduce the basic skills of social emotional learning for my children in my community. So I did a pilot project for around now 2 3 months now, since June. So amazing findings, amazing kind of outcomes I could see, that how much there is a there is a stress on children to perform, and even when he or she is not performing. So I tried to figure it out, and where is really, what is the point where we can intervene, and I luckily I was able to, I'm going to actually, in India, I'm going to actually present those findings in one of the international conferences held going to happen which is going to happen in India in the month of one conference is in September 27, and then another one is in October 11th and 12th. So those are the two, those findings will be really presented, and I'm compiling, working on that to push for that. And I'm lobbying actually with my school community, with my officers, with my department, that we should actually try to focus on the social emotional learning part of the for the children. So that's what I think is needed the most, compared to grades and compared to, I mean, scores and all that. And then, Wally, I think another part, in the same, I mean, in the same, like in the same period, I was also able to bag another scholarship, a small grant for the social emotional learning, which is actually a concept developed by His Holiness Dalai Lama, and it's based in Atlanta in the US by Emory University. It's being offered by Emory University in Atlanta. So it's called CBCT, compassion, cognitive based training. So that also kind of aligns with the basic principles of social emotional learning. So social emotional learning actually comes out of the compassion and training, and exemplary work being done by Emory University, on through this training module. So I think this is another project which I'm working on, and some other changes in the school teaching practice as well, Nomi, like managing the management of the classes and management of the children in the classes. So those small changes in how children sit, how children interact, how children really behave with each other, and some actions also on the corporal punishment. As I said, that there is a strict, I mean, way to deal with children in India, and especially in my place. So I try to really ease that out by introducing this SEL, and telling the teachers here really to think of some other unique ways of dealing with children, not necessarily by bashing and canning or verbally or physically abusing children. So these are the certain things, if I can remember correctly, since last few months I have been doing in my school. So yeah, this I can remember two three things which I mentioned post program. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
So it seems like this Fulbright Tea program is such a well-packed program for teachers because before the program, we should practice or rehearse a lot to be a good fit for the program, you know? And during the selection process, we still, practice, we still prepare ourselves for being a finally selected Fulbrighter. But in America, we learn a lot, we gain a lot, we network a lot. And after the program, wow, we're still doing something
mm,
that can change students' life, even
yeah.
make a difference in teachers' life. I think your example can be a perfect fit for all the things that I've mentioned because you've been doing such an amazing job, Rameez. Congratulations.
Thank you so
Those
much.
small
Thank you so
grants
much.
and all of these research papers and the workshops with your peers and the way you deal with your students based on social emotional learning or SEL. I think your pedagogical skills have being taken to the next level. Wow. I think this program is such a life-changing program. I think from your experience actually can prove that if you apply for this program and if you become a Fulbrighter, you will change and you will also be a change maker and a great leader. I have any other words to express my like pride that wow, I'm so and we, Molly and
Thank
I,
you.
Naomi, we are so proud of you. And
Thanks so much.
you shared the three parts about the US experience, yeah? When you were talking about the part three, I was laughing out loud that I shared my journey in the US through my social media groups like stories and sometimes little posts. And some of my peers even asked me that, are you there for studying or having fun? Like too much fun, but also too much stuff at the same time.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, maybe people might think that, wow, it's such an interesting and fun program, yeah. But
Mhm.
it is not. Sometimes we do
It's
have
not.
our own struggles, and
That's true.
I'm kindly asking you to share one of your struggles that you had in the US and how you know, reached out for help and how did you overcome that struggle successfully?
Mhm. Yes, Nomi, I think struggles are part and parcel of the life, and no matter you are in US or in your home country, they will knock at you, and the thing is that you are not knocked down. But you have to ensure that you don't get knocked down by these unprecedented and spontaneous things happening to you. Uh, Largely, Nomi, I think largely it was a smooth uh, program, and all along. I mean, journey starting from a home country, from a hometown to US, and then. But yes, if I can recall that, and I mentioned in the beginning that I'm a person attached with my family and my children, and that's and that's synonymous with that echoes with a lot of people like you as well. That those who have, I mean, were attached with the family, and so that was at times really in the first few weeks I was slightly overwhelmed by the kind of separation and kind of a distance, poles apart, America and Asia, we are almost at the two different ends of the world. So uh, that in the initial weeks, of 1 or 2 weeks, was at times overwhelming, but thanks to people like Molly, thanks to people like my roommate, in fact, Hector Madrid from Honduras, and then we had a common room in Massachusetts in ICC where we stayed, and that 217, in fact, was a place where at times we assembled and had great fun. Although I'm not a great dancer, so but I used to watch them dance and play music and sing along, and that really relieved the stress. And yes, of course, there was an opportunity to move around. We were not just restricted to the university and yeah, like restricted to one room and not being allowed to move around. So we had the freedom to, in pairs, in groups, we can go around and see for ourselves. And once in a week we had some shopping and leisure activities in US. So it was time for us to really uh, uh, take time out for your own self. So that kept us, I mean, motivated. But yeah, Mm, because of the timing difference of almost 10 to 12 hours, so we were not able to catch up with the family at times, and that was I mean, something that contributed to a little stress we had. So but in the morning we were all geared up at 8 or 6 in the morning in the dining area, and with breakfast and with all those chit chats, and so all the, I mean, lethargy or all the hangover of the previous night was gone. So uh, but in But interesting thing is, knowing that you will agree, and even Molly, that by the time we entered the sixth or seventh week, it was like, now I'm very much suited and very much adjusted to this US culture. Now it's not, we should not go back home. We should stay on and make some more meaningful, life experiences. But yes, initial 1 or 2 weeks were tough, emotionally at least, so that you have to adjust to different kinds of food stuff, to different kinds of cultural, in fact, shocks at times, and different people around. And but yes, all the mates, FT fellows, they charged us, and they charged me, and they just they were around all the time. So that helped a lot to relieve the kind of stress. Otherwise, as I told you, that I never landed in any controversy. There were some small skirmishes, some small bickerings happening around, but I was very clear, positive, that I'm not here to land in any kind of trouble, any kind of unwarranted, unexpected. Any event that can dent my image in the country. And I was the only fellow from India, like you were in the university from Mongolia. So there was a responsibility as well, that look, we don't have to really mess around and with people or places and anyone, and that may affect the image of the country you belong to. So yes, but emotional part was the personal one. But then on the larger side, it was something, a high stakes of your country, so we had to really have the courage to stand tall. Yeah,
Yeah, so nice. So, and for me, I just kept smiling when I listening to you. So it's so nice about hearing about 217 and university canteen. It was great. So
amazing. Yeah.
so yeah, yeah. So thank you again. It was a great.
And
I
Molly,
think it was.
Molly, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Molly. I think I we should. Uh, I'm I'm formally, rather informally, putting an invite uh, to before Nomi to have her time, either for a Zoom meeting with the cohort, I mean, UMass people, or we can, I can ask, I should ask Nomi to spare time for a discussion and sharing her experiences with us. Platform, I will tell you. I will share it with you later. But I will definitely would love to hear from Nomi, and Molly, of course, will also be, joining us, and would love to share, have her experiences in her university. So that will be really amazing to have you as well.
Oh yeah, that's great idea.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I hope we can do that.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm. So thank you again. So and really proud of you. You're doing a great job over there after our program. So, and this is I think end of our podcast. So if you want
Mhm.
and share more things, if you if we
Mhm.
didn't mention about any other good
Yeah.
things, so let yeah. Hmm.
Yes, I think first and foremost is that from the core of my heart, really, I extend my gratitude to both of you, uh, the team, the people behind the idea of Fulbright. I know you both are the face and the strength of this concept, and so I thank you both. And I think we have largely covered almost each part, from application to work back home in schools, and experiences in US. And but if we can go deeper and uh, I mean kind of take layer by layer analysis, do that analysis of the experience, it will take time. But yes, I'm ready for any future experience with you on full, as a podcast or any other platform. would love to contribute and would love to be with you and again, and also once again invite Nomi and for her time to be shared. I will talk to people in our Fulbright cohort team that we are going to have someone from Mongolia, from representing her university, Fulbright, and as a Fulbrighter, to share her experiences. I think that way we will be uh, collaborating, and that way we will be knowing each other more. So far, I think I have not heard from any other university, except from that speech that Nomi made in Washington D.C. So that's it, and so happy to be with you all, both great ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rameez. Of course, it would be my pleasure to join any collaborative work in the future. Just let me know when and uh through what platform, yeah? Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, it will be my definite pleasure. I think Molly would assist me about details. Is that right?
Sure, sure,
Yes,
sure,
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
So it's our kind of little tradition that at the end of our each episode of the podcast, we sing. We are checking your singing ability, Rameez.
Hmm.
Sing like
Oh,
full,
wonderful.
yeah, full bright like a diamond, like maybe three
Uh,
times. Yes. So
uh,
on
uh,
three, is it everybody ready? On three. One,
Okay.
two,
two,
three.
three.
Full bright like a
Full
Full bright
diamond.
bright
like a
like a
diamond.
diamond. Full
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 bright
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 like a
like
like a
a
diamond.
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 Full bright
Full
like
Full
a
bright
like a
like a
diamond.
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 Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Amazing.
Thank
Woo!
you. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to our little podcast. We really hope that each episode would make sense for your journey to apply for the program to be a Fulbrighter in the future. Okay, see you next time.
Thank you, Nomi.